Good afternoon and welcome to WIN TV, Washington Informer News. I'm your host, Denise Rollard Barnes. And boy, this is a day of celebrations. We've come through some really difficult times, but this is a day of celebration. We're celebrating Father's Day on Sunday in a couple of days, and we're going to talk to some fathers a little later on in the show. But before we go any further, I just want to wish all of the fathers in the audience and those who are father figures, I want to wish you a happy Father's Day. Today is Juneteenth, and the District of Columbia is full of Juneteenth activities, and I'm sure that they're taking place all across the country. And we're talking to C.R. Gibbs, historian, about the background and history of Juneteenth and celebrating that as well. For those who don't know, today is also World Sickle Cell Awareness Day. And what else could we, how much better a time we could celebrate, or at least acknowledge the fact that we still have not found a cure for sickle cell, and hundreds of thousands of African Americans and some others, very few, but because this is a disease that impacts our community, are looking to not only bring awareness to sickle cell, but also to strive to get a cure. And last but not least, we're celebrating the staff of the Washington Informer newspaper. And I'm so excited to bring on our editor, Mr. Dominique Kevin Nair, who's going to talk and share with us about the wonderful awards, the Society of Professional Journalists Awards that we won, or notified that we won last week. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks, Denise. I appreciate it. It's good to be here. Yeah.
Well, we're talking about a spotlight on sickle cell. Look like we have spotlights on you as well.
Yeah.
Good. And I don't mean just the lights, but I mean the fact that four reporters and you, our editor, won awards by the Society of Professional Journalists this week. Yeah. Tell us, congratulations, and talk to us a little bit about that.
So, Society of Professional Journalists is a nationwide organization. They have chapters throughout the United States, and we applied, submitted 6 entries for the DC chapter. As you know, you and I talked about it. I just thought that it's time that we put our own work against the mainstream and see how we're evaluated. I have a lot of confidence in our people. I think we're just as good as any other paper in the country. And so we entered in 6 categories, and we were blessed and fortunate. We took 5 of the 6. So I'm riding on cloud 9 right now. And the thing about it that really makes me happy is there are 5 different people. Anthony Tillman has never gotten any recognition for his photography. This is his first award. For Sam Collins, it's his first award. For William Ford, it's his first award. And then Stacy and I are already award-winning journalists. But it's good to bring some other brothers into the fold.
Weekly
but it wasn't just
non-breaking news. Finalist Leah Potter, Street Sense Media. Most homeless services are for individuals or families. Small organizations try to fill the gap for expecting mothers. Winner, Sam Collins, The Washington Informer. Millennial grads make waves as DCPS teachers.
Weekly newspapers series. Winner, Stacey Brown, The Washington Informer, Black Women's Suffrage.
Weekly newspapers feature photography. Winner, Anthony Tillman, The Washington Informer. District marks 50th anniversary of first moon landing.
Weekly newspapers commentary and criticism. Finalist, Joey DiGuglielmo, Washington Blade. Michael W. Smith, Sandy Patty Wow with Kennedy Center Patriotic Shows. Winner, D. Kevin McNear, The Washington Informer. Kids embrace Arthur, Kermit, and SpongeBob, even if they're gay until taught otherwise.
Weekly newspapers beat reporting. Winner, William Ford, The Washington Informer. Prince George's County coverage.
I hate to cut you off with that, but
you know what? That's special to me. It really is. And like I gained my love for writing when I met Gwendolyn Brooks when I was 9, and I really believe that we have a quality product and we're going to get even better. I'm just happy for my guys who had never been recognized. And thanks for letting me do my thing, Denise.
Yeah, well, it's we do it not only for our own self, grandizement, or our own, self, whatever egos. We
For
we
sure.
write these stories, and we cover this community because we want to make a difference.
Yeah,
It helps that we can win awards and be acknowledged for the work that we do, but
it does.
it's really to make a difference. And we hope that those of you all who are out there in the viewing audience, that you can find this story on our website. You can find it on social media. You might have Kevin's email address, but we want to hear from you. And we always want to know what you have to share with regards to other stories that we could be covering. But we certainly are just excited about the fact that we are evidently making a difference, and folks value the work that we're doing.
Yeah, it's good. It's good when people start to pay attention. And I just saw the Washington Post is adding 12 positions to cover issues in the African American community. But let the record show that if you really want to know the story, you better check it out in the Washington Informer.
Kevin, that brings up another point, because speaking of that daily newspaper, and I don't, like many of us in the Black press, we consider ourselves mainstream, so we're not calling them that.
Right.
They're dailies. We're mainstream. In our community, we are. But there's an article today in this morning's Post that talks about the Washington Post, New York Times, some other publications who are trying to decide whether, in this midst of social justice issues, whether they want to use capital B for the word Black. And when we're talking about Black people, you initiated a policy a long time ago, which we've always had. But I want you to talk about why that was not even a question for us.
Well, Black is a color, and then it's lowercase. When Black is talking about a people, it's capital for me. And it's for 25 years that I've been with the Black press. That's what we've done. I know it does not jive with AP rules, but I don't work for the AP and don't care. For me, the capital B means everything, because we have been minimalized. We have been lowercased for centuries. I refuse to be lowercase and treated as I am a stepchild in the world. And so to gain my place and to claim my rightful place, we're capital B. That's the way it is. When my guys come in and say, "Oh, why are you doing this?" I said, "I'm not going to explain it to you. Just follow it. It matters." And it really does.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, I'm black and I'm proud. James Brown said it. It's capital B. Anything else, but come on.
Exactly. Well, I want to thank you for joining us, for doing such a great job. We challenge each other all the time and are always trying to do a better job. But this proves, well, it doesn't really prove that we're doing a great job. It just helps to encourage us to do a great job, because our community reads our newspaper, and we're feeling pretty proud. So, but we do thank SPJ for doing that.
Yeah, I think the thing about that gives me joy is and satisfaction is clearly other people are reading us besides our reading base.
Right.
And that means we have the opportunity to share the words and message to other folks who have not heard us and didn't know we were around. So these awards get us into a new place where we have a larger audience. But as you said, we're going to keep on doing just what we've been doing since Dr. Rollard opened the doors, and that's where we are. I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Thank you so much, Kevin, and happy Father's Day.
Thank you. Yeah, my kids haven't got my cards yet. They better. They're in trouble. Yep. Thank you so much, Denise. God bless.
All right. Talk to you soon. So, as I mentioned earlier, we had a conversation with C.R. Gibbs, local historian, who talked to us also about Juneteenth, the celebration that started when slaves were freed, enslaved people were freed in the state of Texas, 2 years after enslaved people all across the South received, or in the slaveholding states were freed. And of course, that was 4 years after the first freed, which were those of us here in the District of Columbia. So looking forward to hearing more from him. We're going to stop and just take a little break and hear some more about World Sickle Cell Day. Well, I guess I've already mentioned that. I just heard that we're not going to get that video, but we are we? We're just showing a flyer. Okay. All right. Yes, this is the flyer. And I said earlier, this is World Sickle Cell Day. The Sickle Cell Disease Association of America and lots of advocacy groups, including our very own Howard University Hospital Center for Sickle Cell Disease, is acknowledging this day called Shine the Light on Sickle Cell, which is a 24-hour awareness campaign to celebrate the 10th anniversary of World Sickle Cell Awareness Day today on June 19th. And at some point, we may end up having some conversations. You know, we talk about COVID, and there's been some conversation that if they come up with a vaccine for COVID, that it may also be beneficial to those with sickle cell disease. We'll see how that works, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But we cannot forget that there are, just like COVID, there are diseases out there that overwhelmingly impact African Americans, and we need to keep those who are impacted by those diseases highlighted and to encourage cures. We've had other diseases to come and go, and there have been cures created, but African Americans still overwhelmingly are impacted, not dying as much as they were, but at least impacted by sickle cell. So we wanted to acknowledge today, World Sickle Cell Day. So we're going to take a little break now and have a commercial break, and we will be back with you in just a minute. It's Juneteenth. For some, that's June the 19th, and it's a celebration. You know, I don't even want to go through all that, CR, because, you know, I read an article this morning in the daily newspaper here in Washington, D.C. that talked about two Americas. And now that we've gone through all of this with regards to the protest about unequal treatment inequitable treatment of African Americans. And so Juneteenth has become, you know, sort of the day to celebrate equity in this country. But the writer talked about two Americas because African Americans have been acknowledging and celebrating Juneteenth since the late 1800s. My dad, a native of Texarkana, Texas, went to his grave angry at white folks because of Juneteenth. Set the stage for us. What is June the 19th all about?
Today is the 155th anniversary of the announcement of the end of slavery in Texas. Texas was so recalcitrant. It didn't want to free their black folk. It also didn't want free blacks in the Lone Star State. They would not give it up because far back east, Lincoln had signed the Emancipation Proclamation, which does in fact list Texas. But Texas was going to have to be forced. They saw themselves as the last great frontier of slavery. They were the largest state already, and they had come into the Union on a slide of proposals that made the slave owners rhapsodic about having, again, 200,000 square miles of waving cotton. That is what they wanted. And they were not prepared to give up their significant investment. And if it meant that all they had to do was to oppress black people, to pass laws in the 1840s and 50s that said, we'll give you two choices. If you're a free black person in Texas, we'll let you leave the state, or we'll sell you into slavery. Oh, there was one other option. We'll let you choose your own master. That is what free blacks had to face in Texas. And in Galveston, 5 years before Juneteenth, there were only 2 free blacks. So this was a state that was inimical to black freedom. And Juneteenth celebrations, beginning the 19th of June, 1865, with the landing of Union troops, became an act of resistance to astounding, barbarous oppression.
And so how has this day been celebrated since that time?
Traditionally, with games and parties, baseball, the consumption of massive quantities of soul food, and beginning in the 1940s, consumption of Big Red soda, which was the modern day version of a drink that had been made by hand and was usually strawberry soda, symbolizing the blood that had been shed in Texas. You know, we know, thanks to a new book called The Cult of Glory, we know that even the vaunted Texas Rangers turned their back between 1865 and 1930 on more than 400 lynchings of mostly Black people. They simply ignored them. So where were Black people going to get justice? They had to build their own institutions, choose their own leaders, rely upon the church, many of the same things that we're doing today. And over time, Juneteenth spread out of Texas and into the rest of the United States. But let me correct one mistaken assumption. There were still enslaved people in the United States come June 19th, 1865. For the listeners or viewers, I would only give you one example of where slavery still reigned supreme, and that would be Kentucky. It had thousands of enslaved people after Juneteenth. That's why we ultimately needed a little thing called the 13th Amendment to wipe the stain of slavery, at least legal slavery, off of the national banner. So, but Juneteenth never stopped in its ability to attract folk. It's at the great time of the year. It symbolized the death of slavery in the largest state in the country. And today, with the protests, people might have forgotten DC emancipation.
I was getting to get to that.
November the 1st, 1864, Maryland was freed, had nothing to do with the Emancipation Proclamation. So it is a time we hope that people will use to reflect upon the history of resilience and resistance and learn more about the history of freedom in their own local jurisdictions.
You know, you mentioned the District of Columbia, and we have attempted in this city to have what we call Emancipation Day, April the 16th, I believe. And so on that date, the mayor has declared this a holiday in the district, and there are also celebrations. And we were if I'm not mistaken, and you can correct me, about being the first free. What was that all about? And I mean, I'm excited about Juneteenth, but I'm also excited about Emancipation Day in my hometown.
And this is what we try to, we're not saying it's an either or choice, but you ought to know about the history of freedom where you live.
Right.
That's all we're suggesting. And what we look at is DC emancipation was the result of nearly 40 years of effort by Black folk who resisted their chains. We had a short-lived District of Columbia Abolition Society. So that it's not well taught in the schools. People are still surprised to find out how the end of slavery came to and of all places, the nation's capital, where people believe that on April 16th, 1862, that day, Denise, would be hailed as the greatest day in American history other than the 4th of July. They really thought that this is, and the historical significance of DC emancipation, is that it emboldened Lincoln to then, in June of 1862, coincidentally on another June 19th, 3 years before Juneteenth, issue a freedom document for the Western states and territories. So emboldened by the success of DC emancipation, the country begins a walk down freedom's road that takes us to September of 1862 with the preliminary Emancipation Proclamation, January 1st with the Emancipation Proclamation, Juneteenth, June 19th, 1865, and ultimately in December of 1865, the 13th Amendment.
CR, thank you so much for being with us and for sharing this history. And you always do it. I mean, you are our beloved historian who keeps the record straight for us, and you appear all over the city educating and informing folks about Black history. How can people reach out to you to get more information, or maybe to get your schedule of well, I know you're not doing much now because of COVID, but you know, just to reach out to you to get more information.
I encourage people to go to portofharlem.net/cgibbs. portofharlem.net/cgibbs. They can download articles, videos, and I hope you will give permission for Brother Wayne to put this on the Port of Harlem website at the appropriate time.
Wonderful. Will do. Will do. I want to thank you so much. Happy Juneteenth, if that's appropriate.
Happy Juneteenth. Let me give a special shout out to Ms. Lassiter, who made all of this possible. I want to certainly thank her for her wonderful patience as well.
Will do. All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Hi, I'm Ron Burke, Director of Advertising and Marketing for the Washington Informer. We are proud to serve as the leading multimedia company connecting you to the African American community. We know the Black community is disproportionately affected by COVID-19, and it is our mission to keep you informed of all the positive news that you can use related to this pandemic. The Washington Informer continues to operate daily, delivering news. And together with our hardworking and dedicated staff, we can do more to support your business. We are in this thing together, and I want to help you. Let me customize a solution that will help you effectively reach our more than 87,000 readers and subscribers. Our goal is to keep your business at the forefront of your customers' minds. We want you to come out of this stronger and better when this crisis is over, but we've got to get there together. Contact me today. I'm Ron Burke. I'm at 202-888-6835 or rburke@washingtoninformer.com. Let's work together and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ron. And of course, every week we're going to ask you to feel free to call him to get some advice, to figure out how we can help support our small businesses, particularly our Black-owned businesses in the DC area. We want to ensure that we remain strong. As a matter of fact, we did an editorial this week related to the need for Black-owned businesses to get equitable treatment from local government contracting, and we'll be having some folks on to talk about that as well. So I am, you know, dads, when it comes to Black men, I mean, we love you dearly, but we know sometimes you are just overwhelmingly impacted by all kinds of issues that confront you. But we love having people who have on our show who have solutions, who have recommendations on how we can make things go better in the lives of our Black men and our Black fathers. And so we're going to actually introduce you to Fit Fathers and Kamatni, who will be with us in a few minutes. So we're going to take a look at his video real quick because we want to see more fit fathers out there. So go right ahead and share this.
Kamatni Rawlins, founder of Fit Fathers. The reason we created this program is so dads can have the tools and the values needed to create and sustain a positive lifestyle that's focused on not only fitness, but nutrition as well, and strong mental stability. After Fit Father's Day, you know, we want them to carry on the message and continue to make positive decisions, whether they're small or large, so they can change their lifestyle for the long term, where the kids grow up knowing that healthy eating is a key foundation of the household, that staying in sports not only exercises the body, but keeps them busy and focused, and also allows them more attention on their education, on their studies, on their academics. So one of our simple messages is to lead by example so your child becomes the example. K-Raw, Fit Fathers, One Love.
Kamatni, welcome to the show. I don't see you, but hopefully you're here with us. It is, when I got the press release about your program, I couldn't help but to tell Chevry, or ask Chevry, our producer, to bring you on, because there you are. How are you?
Hey, Denise, I'm great. Yourself?
Good, good. I could not let that press release go, into any other place in my email except to Chevry to say we need him on for Father's Day, and
I
so
appreciate that.
I am just like really just thrilled that you have come up with a program called Fit Fathers. Why did you do this?
Well, I use myself as a barometer. I was always an athlete, but after college, I kind of, lost the regimen and, was took on a sedentary lifestyle, wasn't really focused on my overall health. So I'm one of those people it's either all the way left or right. There's no in between. I looked in the mirror. I said, I need to change. I have 2 daughters. And I've always known that systemically, Black people have had issues with chronic disease. And most of my family members, my uncles and aunts, all passed away when they were in their 30s and 40s because of chronic disease. My mother is the last one standing, mainly because she's a nurse. So she she knew the requisite habits to maintaining longevity. So I figured that if I can create something to energize dads, give them information, health information, but in the lingo that they normally communicate with, then they'll be more accepting to it. So we kind of fear doctor visits, we fear research acumen, anything that sounds too scientific. So I just use myself and the platform to break down the science, but to make it a little bit more friendly.
So, you started exercising yourself because you realized you wanted to live a longer life, and happy Father's Day to you.
Thank you,
so
Denise.
that you're not only setting the example for your children, but what has it been like to try to get other dads involved in your program?
So it's 50-50 because you have a set of gentlemen that want to ignite themselves. They want to give their kids the tools early, so these learned habits can follow them throughout life, opposed to starting over like I did when I was 35. And then you have another set that's like, I don't even know, dude telling me how to be healthy. And those are the ones that we want to work with more. So actually, we would have the females, the girlfriends, the wives of those individuals actually follow us too and come and participate and get the information and then take it back to the household and discreetly, start implementing that in, like, honey, why don't you do this? Or we should do that. Because nutritionally, we want to start eating more greens, cruciferous greens, because of the antioxidants, the minerals, vitamins. We want to eat more fruits. So 5 to 7 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, because only 2% of Americans meet the recommended daily allowance for fiber. So fiber, binds to cholesterol and pushes it out the system. So it's a very important element. So that's fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and nuts and seeds, because we want our omegas as well. So we kind of help them understand the different food groups, and then like how to shop for the foods, and then how to cook the foods.
So how do they reach out to you? How do they get involved in your program? Or is it online? How do they participate?
Exactly. Everything's online on the website, fitfathers.com. First and foremost, we're an editorial site, so we create content in the form of articles and op-eds to start getting people to understand the new foundation that they want, because you have to totally reprogram the mind. If you don't do that, then the body is going to have challenges. When you say, all right, June 1st, I'm going to start eating healthy, you have to center yourself around like minds, like individuals, and other information, so the brain starts replacing all of your old habits. It's like, you know what, instead of the fries, I think we like these sweet potatoes. Yeah. So it's a process. So we kind of like bring them through the process. And then we hold free community events. Before COVID-19 was in the community, now everything's online. So we have like online cooking demonstrations, online fitness, like we do later with Montgomery County of Maryland in their Juneteenth program, which we're centering around.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about that, because we've got about a minute left. Tell me what's happening tomorrow.
Well, actually, it's today.
Today. Okay.
4:30 p.m. today. We're going to educate everyone who isn't aware on the importance of Juneteenth. But we're going to focus on health and nutrition because, again, we have less lifespans than our counterparts. So we need to understand why. And that's because of some of the habits we have. So we're going to be cooking two vegan meals today with my sous chef, Sylvia Johnson. And I'm going to lead a workout at 4:45. And then we have another individual leading a workout. So the whole goal is to make sure that, if we want overall wellness, we got to take care of our frame, because there's no point in working hard, hustling hard, if we don't have the longevity to enjoy it.
Kamani, thank you so much for taking a couple minutes out. I forgot that this program was this afternoon, and I know you have some preparation to do, but I'm really happy you're able to take a few minutes out to talk to us about the program. We're going to have you back on.
Sure.
Quarterly, the Washington Informer does a health supplement. And so we certainly do want to help to promote what you all are doing, because we want fit dads, fit fathers, fit men, fit people, everybody.
Oh, one more thing. Sunday, yes. We're having our 7th annual Fit Father's Day celebration. It's online, of course. So again, it starts at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and dads and their families can work out with us if they go to fitfathersday.com.
Fitfathersday.com. All right. Thank you so much. So how are you going to celebrate Father's Day?
Oh, well, after that workout, I'm looking forward to some vegan jerk tofu from the Jerk Pit. And then, just chill out with, movie with the kids and some volleyball in the backyard. Wonderful.
Wonderful. Well, you have a great day. Again, thank you for joining us.
Thanks,
and we're going to talk to you again real soon, hopefully.
All right. Stay.
All right. Thank you. Fitfathers.com. That's really great. And check them out, not only this evening, but on Sunday or every day. It sounds like we can get some information from Kamani about how we can keep our dads in our communities fit. We are also just trying to keep this Father's Day celebration going. And we want to bring on Danae, thank you, Chevry, Danae Carlos with Sons Ministry. And Danae has been working with young people. Well, first, let me say that Danae went to Howard University as a meteorologist with NOAA, the national, help me out with that, the National
Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration.
Yeah, I knew it. Thank you. But I just needed you to say it. Thank you. And he served in the Obama administration as Assistant Secretary of Environmental Observations and Predictions. Boy, what a title. What does that mean? What did you do?
Oh, I worked for the assistant secretary.
Okay.
I was not the assistant secretary. I was his policy advisor on weather.
Okay. All right. Yeah, meteorology. We're going to talk about that. Maybe we'll get back with you at some point when we talk about professions that a lot of our young people need to consider. Maybe we'll do a career day or something and bring you back. But you've been working with young men. It's called Sons Ministry. And give me some details on that. What do you do with these young guys?
Yeah, so the Sons Ministry is an organization that was started by Bishop Alfred A. Owens, who is the Archbishop of Greater Mount Calvary Holy Church at 610 Rhode Island Avenue, Northeast in Washington, D.C. And he started this program really to, give moms a break. He had so many women in his church that were single moms that had sons that did not have a father in their lives. Plus, Bishop Owens is a product of, a single mom household. And it was, his vision to start a program that really focused on providing, male role models, Christian male role models to young men that are like him, that are like me, that are like so many of our young Black and brown boys that are growing up today. And so we started this program, probably we say we started in 2007, but I think it started probably slightly earlier than that. And it's a program that really, connects with the young men on a monthly basis, gives them experiences that they've never had, teaches them about what it means, how to treat a woman, what is etiquette, how to eat properly at a dinner table. Teaches them about the museums, Black history. We go on the Washington Informer Black History tour every year because Chevry's husband, Mike Lassiter, is one of our founding mentors, and so
all in the family.
Yeah, we've been doing this for a long time, and we really try to work with boys that come from that are from age 4 all the way up to 14. And so in some sense, some of these boys, I've been doing this for 12 years. And there's some of the boys that I've known for that long, and they are still, we transition them into a junior mentor program at the age of 14, 15. And so they're still young men that come back. They support us. They work with the boys that, are still part of the program today. And so it's a fantastic program. And I love it because it just warms my heart. And I want to be that inspiration for the younger generation.
A lot of people often ask, what was the purpose of the Million Man March and what came out of it? And what came out of it are organizations like this. I'm not saying that this one specifically came out of that, but a lot of organizations, because I know at that march when those Black men took that pledge and they said that they would stand into the void of families where where Black fathers don't exist. I'm wondering, do you all ever have conversations with those fatherless or young men who don't have fathers in their lives? Do they ever talk about what it's like not having that person and how grateful they may be for you all?
Yeah, they absolutely talk about it. You think about the fact that some of our young men can go through life without ever really meeting their fathers. Some of our boys have never actually met their father. I can't imagine what that feels like. But they talk about the feeling of, being abandoned, not having someone that looks like them to be able to, bounce ideas off of, to be able to tell their problems to, because there is a difference between talking to your mother and talking to your father, especially as a young Black man. You're going to say things to your father that you probably necessarily wouldn't say to your mom. And so I think it's extremely important for Black men to be that role model, to have that opportunity to actually, be a part of a young man's life that doesn't necessarily have a father in their life. And, we're not trying to be their fathers at all,
right.
And I don't profess to be any of their fathers, but I want to be that male role model that if, hey, I need to talk to a man today about something that's going on and I can't talk to my mama about this, please give me a call. That is what my role and responsibility is. And I want to make sure that, that I continue to educate them about the things that they're going to deal with, being Black in America, being a Black man in America in general. How do you succeed being a Black man in America? How do you go to college being a Black man in America?
Right,
so I want them to feel that connection to their history and their connection to, of course, their gender. And so, let's continue to move forward and take ourselves to a whole nother place. Because
and I want to thank you so much for what you all do with the organization. And I know I said your name wrong again, Danae. I want to thank you so much for Sons Ministry. It's sounds like you all are making a big difference in the lives of young people. Keep on keeping on. And anything, of course, the Washington Informer can do to support what you all are doing, we are right there with you. Of course, we have to be because Chevry's part of the family.
That's
and
right.
So is Mike. But keep doing what you do. And we know that it's making a difference. So thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks so much, Denise.
We'll see you again soon. So we're going to keep this theme of fatherhood going, and we're going to stop and just take a brief video with Mr. Frank Malone, who you'll get a chance to meet in just a second.
There's a man in my house. He comes home each night, looking tired and weak. He sits down at the dinner table and he says education is the thing if you want to compete. Because without his son, life ain't. I love this man and I don't know why, except I'll need his strength until the day that I die. My mother loves him and I can tell by the way she looks at him when he holds my little sister Nell. I heard her say just the other day that if it had not been for him, she couldn't have found her way. I think I'll call him Bob.
It's a blessing that you're looking back over your years and you'll see how you were blessed.
She said she thought that
Welcome back. We're going to bring Mr. Frank Malone, who is the CEO of 100 Fathers, who's been working I like that sign back there, Black Fathers Matter. Thank you. Good to see you. And you've been working for years on this with your program throughout the community and at our local high school, Ballou Senior High School. Tell us about 100 Fathers.
First, I want to thank you. I want to thank God for seeing this movement take hold. I want to thank you and the Washington Informer for helping us with our Ballou Brotherhood program. When we had no funds, you furnished the shirts, helped us out, and supported us. Those are some great young men over there at Ballou High School. So I want to thank you and your great newspaper, award-winning newspaper. We know who you are. Thank
you, Frank. You know, I could not do all that I do had I not had a great father who showed me the example. So I know that he would have been right there with you, and God bless him. So what do you do with 100 Fathers? What is this organization?
First, I want you to know your father was my mentor, and we did a lot of things together. He taught me a lot. So Calvin Roloff, my man, my mother too. What we do. We are the 100 Fathers, the ordinary men doing extraordinary things. When I sit here and talk to you, this is not really me. This is hundreds of men, all ages, all around the region, all across the country. We have a group that's at the Ballou High School, but that's not all that we do. We deal with hostile and aggressive behavior with youth. We deal with sentencing, solitary confinement, what's going on with our criminal justice system. We look at our 20-something teens, how we can change the paradigm for them. We know that we teach our young men when they get stopped by the police, put your hands up and keep your respect up so that you can live to talk about what's next. We also are connected with the DC Fatherhood Coalition, the Alliance of Concerned Men, Cure the Streets, Marco Clark, Man the Block. We're spanning all around the Beltway and the DMV, putting these programs in. But I'm so happy to see the people who you've interviewed that are working with health, fitness. Those are the same things that we believe we brought to the table.
So Frank, explain to me why, at this point in time, first of all, we know fathers, regardless of race, don't get the credit that they should get for the roles that they play in parenthood. We know that's the fact. But has it been a challenge for you to overcome the negative stereotype of Black fathers?
Oh my God, yes. If you look at the history of how the media has portrayed us, how the laws have been passed against us. We want to see our children. We gotta fight for shared parenting. We want to get some housing and live with our families, but the first law said, if you got a man, he can't be there. Thus, the children grow up fatherless. There are also discrimination and certain rules that have ruled us out and put us on the back burner. But no more. Mm-hmm. So we have a fatherhood court downtown that we have to put together where men don't have to go to jail. They can get treatment. They can get jobs. They can get support. And I think one of the keys to that the 100 Fathers brought to the table is that we are certified master fatherhood trainers. So we're not somebody just came out here and say, let's go help the fathers. It says in the Bible, it says, study to show thyself approved. We're God-fearing men of all religions. We work with the Muslims, the Christians. We've even been in the Jewish synagogue because fatherhood is an international language.
Right. Well, how are you all going to be celebrating Father's Day this weekend? Tell us what's coming up.
We have our 8th. Tyrone Parker is the co-chair of the DC Fatherhood Coalition. I got Henry Discom, Bobby Layton Jones, Pierpoint Mobley, Chris Thompson. We're doing 3 days. This is our 8th annual. On Friday night, tonight, we're going to have a Zoom event. Our theme is Fathers of Faith, Overcoming Adversity. Because without God, nothing ain't going to happen. So we start there. Then we're going to have speakers like Judge Burnett on police immunity, Dr. Edwin Chapman on men's health and COVID today. We'll have Joshua Ross, who was with the National African American Wellness Walk last year, where in Anacostia Park, we tested 200 men for all array of health maladies for the first time in the history of the city. We also have, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 speakers. Ron Hampton from the Black Police Officers Association to talk about what's going on with police violence. How do we work that out? What's best for us?
And so that's this evening at what time?
This evening at 7 o'clock on Zoom.
On Zoom, okay. And how would they find it though? It's on Zoom, but how would folks find that?
You can go to our website, www.100fathers.org.
Okay.
It will be up there. Or you can email me at the 100fathersinc@gmail.com.
Now, I know you're participating also on Sunday. There's going to be a motorcade around the city. People are putting out black ribbons and balloons on Sunday.
There it is. That's the sign.
Right.
So we're working with Chuck Hicks and Black Fathers Matter. He's an excellent speaker and represents our city well. So we've come together to do the Black Fathers Matter motorcade. But before I get there, Saturday, we're having an infotainment. We're going to have Royal Height, comedian Chris Thomas. We're going to have some family entertainment. We're going to have singers, poetry, floetry, and feature some talent from around the city. That's Saturday at 7.
And the same way they would go to your website.
Go to our website and pick it up. 100fathers.org.
Wonderful.
We'll have it up there.
Okay.
Sunday we get a message of faith because we're men and women of God. And so and then that'll be Reverend Norm Nixon, who just showed, and then we do the motorcade.
Wonderful. Frank, thank you so much for being with us. Happy Father's Day. I know I saw the article this week too with you and your dad. And so congratulations for actually creating this organization and keeping it going, but most importantly for making a difference in our community. We appreciate you.
And we appreciate you too.
Have a wonderful day. Again, we're going to keep this Father's theme going, and we look forward now to bringing on Dr. Kim Auburn and Ernest. I feel like I'm missing something here, Chevry. There you are. How are you?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Oh, we've got a couple of you all here. We're talking about your organization because you are naming the Father of the Year. You have a Father of the Year contest. Mr. Woodson, is that correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Tell us how you came up with this. We want to get you more centered in the photo here. We kind of got move over a little bit to your right. There you go. All right, good to see you. How are you?
Thank you.
Tell us about your Father of the Year program.
My Father of the Year.
Fathers Incorporated.
Okay, Fathers Incorporated, we started back in 1987 as a single parent father with 5 other single parent fathers trying to make a difference in my son's life and the lives of their children as well. We sort of combine our forces together and sort of learn from women who are single moms how to connect, how to network, how to do things together. We started taking our kids and other kids to Disneyland, just rounding up kids and taking them down there, caravanning in cars and vans. We did that in '87 up until maybe the '90s, and everybody got grown, kids left home. And so now we're focused, we changed our mission, we focused on things that really make a difference in the community. The Father of the Year Award, where we are now, focuses on trying to find one man in the midst of chaos who's doing what's right and what's good, and hold him up as a role model to the rest.
Mr. Osborne, you are a board member of
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Fathers Incorporated. And are you a single father also?
No, I'm not.
Okay, all right. Okay, but tell me about why you even decided to be a part of this organization.
Well, I guess one of the reasons, like I said, Ernest and myself go back a number of years, from everything from high school through the military. And I was aware of what they want to do with single fathers, to basically assist a single parent into basically be a positive and responsive role model for his kids. And that was a way basically to combat the influence of a lot of negative elements that basically impacted Black men in the community in the past and currently.
Wonderful. And then we also have with us Dr. Kim Harris Cobb, also a board member. Is that correct?
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Sure. Now, and I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Mr. Mann, and that is, why did you decide that you thought it was important enough to support Mr. Woodson in this effort as a board member?
Yes, I grew up with my father, and my brother, unfortunately, did not have my father in his life. And I saw the impact it had on him as a child, and even into adulthood. I was able to go on and be more successful and go to college and so on and so forth. But unfortunately, he chose to go down a different path. And I always knew that it was something that I wanted to be a part of in helping other young African-American men benefit from being in an organization that helped fathers to, understand that they are significant and just mentor young men and just help them to stay on the right path.
Mr. Woodson, so, I mean, you've created this Fathers Incorporated, which I think is a noble effort. And I want to ask you the same, all of you all, the same question that I asked our previous person, Mr. Frank Malone, and Dana Carlos. I mean, do you talk to young men who really talk about what it's like not having a father in their lives and what impact that's having? I mean, Dr. Cobb, you talked about it as it relates to your brother, but where do people go who really feel as though they're impacted by that absence of the father, not the father image, but the father in their lives?
Let me just take that from my perspective.
Yeah.
One of the things, I've been on the program, I'm listening to a lot of different organizations, great organizations doing a lot of great things. Just the last 100 Men, fantastic, doing a lot of great things. There's a number of nonprofits doing so much in the community trying to make a difference. Our focus has been just sort of focused on the Father of the Year, not necessarily individual counseling. Of course, we do have Dr. Kim, who does counseling for returning citizens. That's her focus for our organization. And individually, we all go out and role model, trying to make a difference. Individually, we all do it individually all the time. But our focus, that we have a program, intergenerational program, where we go into the classroom, we bring senior citizens who have really been successful to exchange with students about their lives and how they got to be where they are. Learning from seniors from their past life. So we try to do that as a means of trying to help sort of teach kids how to grow up, be successful, how to be assets in their community and to their family.
So who qualifies, not who is, but who qualifies to be a Father of the Year? What do you look for when trying to decide that person?
Okay, we have maybe 5 criteria, and it's a competitive nomination process. One of them is that we look for a father who's gone through things, who's been through a lot of challenges, but has triumphed over those things. His impact on his community. What is he doing in his community? How's he making a difference? Not only in his children's life, but also in his community life as well. We also look for a father who embraces our founding principles of brotherhood, manhood, fatherhood, and gentlemanship. That's the most important thing that we have. Those 4 elements. We want to find a father who breaks those things and can model those things in the community.
Right. Okay. Mr. Mann or Dr. Cobb, do you want to weigh in? Because I know that there's a judging process, and I'm sure you all had to participate in that. I don't know how difficult or not it was in coming up with the Father of the Year, who I think we're going to talk to. But what was the judging process like?
Well, we had to look at each and every all of the candidates, basically what kind of struggle individual went through. And not only the struggle, but what impact the individual made to his community after he's already gone through the struggle or overcome the hardships. And we looked at each of the candidates and weighed that accordingly.
Dr. Cobb?
Yes, we also vetted the individual. We did a background investigation. We wanted to make sure that the information that was presented was accurate. And we also conducted an interview with the nominee.
I'm wondering if, as a woman, you either had to add some criteria or if you looked at this any differently than the guys. I'm just curious. I mean, we all know how important fathers are, but was there any kind of, but we've got to do this, whether they were raising sons or daughters or what? Did you have that kind of discussion as well?
No, I actually, we went along with the criteria that was established, and we all individually ranked and rated the nominees, and then we all came together, and then we had discussions about what we felt were important and what contributing factors made this particular person the candidate or the nominee for the year.
So, Mr. Woodson, we're gonna switch over in a minute to actually allow you to name your Father of the Year on our broadcast. But I know that you're going to be looking for candidates for next year. So, can you talk about when that process will start and how people can be involved in the nominations?
Okay, well, Dr. Barnes, let me tell you that our goal is to travel the country in every major city where there's mayhem and chaos and find a father in that particular city. Washington, D.C. was our very first. Our next city is Baltimore, Maryland. So we'll be focusing on Baltimore, but we hope we can still work Washington, D.C. for 2021. But our major focus now will be Baltimore, Maryland. And that's a city that needs help. And we need to find one gentleman, one father in that city that's doing what's right and what's good. And we hope we can find that person there. So our focus is in Baltimore 2021, but we're going to work with our upcoming father for Washington, D.C. Maybe he can lead the charge for us in Washington for 2021. We're going to sort of drop that in his lap.
All right. And when will the nominations begin?
We try to get the word out sort of December.
Okay.
And the nomination process will run through March.
Okay. All right. Well, make sure you let us know. But I'm going to, the drums are rolling right now. I'd love to know who your Father of the Year is. And we know we've got him in the green room waiting. We look forward to interviewing him. But tell us about your Father of the Year and why he was selected.
Well, let me first give credit to his wonderful wife and life partner, Jackie McKee. And she was instrumental in bringing him to us. She did a lot of work. She responded to every question. She had all the documentation to support everything that she said in the nomination form. She's incredible, and she's made him incredible. So going to that old cliche, for every good man, there's a good woman. He has a great woman.
Yeah, wonderful.
And, the nominee certainly is Hakeem Hurt. He is Washington, D.C.'s Father of the Year for 2020.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to bring Hakeem on with some other fathers. We want to thank all three of you all for joining us. And we're going to talk to now the Fathers Incorporated Father of the Year, Mr. Hakeem Hurt. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
All righty. Oh, did we lose him? Hakeem Hurt. We're looking for you. We need to call his wife and tell him to get him on this show, because we're waiting to talk to him really quickly. And we also are going to bring on with him Mr. The Father of the Year in my household, who is Mr. Lafayette Barnes, as well as Randy Gardner.
Yes, I'm here.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, good, good. And Kelly Williams, welcome. Happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
All right, all right.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. And Mr. Williams, can you hear me?
Thank you.
Great, great. So the conversation I've been trying to have, you know, with some of the others, I mean, everybody's got a program. Your program are your children. And so, and the fact that you are fathers. And I'm so proud. There he is. This is Mr. Hakeem Hurt. This is the Father of the Year, named by Fathers Incorporated. So happy Father's Day to you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you so much.
So I just want to have a brief little conversation about fatherhood. First, Hakeem, if you would just say to us what it means to you to be named Father of the Year by Fathers Incorporated.
This means a lot. Of course, I'm like shocked, excited, and all of the above happening at once. But I just got to give thanks to my wife, who made all of this possible and shared my story with these people. Once the news came to her, she was on it to present me in a manner that was outstanding. And this is just a great opportunity to take advantage of a platform where I could be an example for change. And that's what I'm all for.
Can you tell me how many children you have and their ages?
I have 5 children. We lost a daughter at 4 months in 2015, and I have an older daughter. My oldest, she's my daughter, of course. She's 9, 7, 6, and 3 years old.
All right, your hands are full.
Yeah, I get the ages mixed up because they're like all like right there. So.
Right. How about you, Mr. Williams? Tell me, you're the father of.
I'm a father of 2. I have a 18-year-old son and a 30-year-old daughter.
Okay. All right. And Mr. Gardner?
I'm father of 3. I have a 19-year-old daughter, a 27-year-old daughter, and a 30-year-old daughter.
Wow, wonderful. And Lafayette Barnes?
I'm a father of 3. I hope I can remember the ages, because, you know, when you're a little old, you forget. But I have 2 sons in the early 30s and a daughter who was in her early 40s.
All right. Okay. I will give those fathers a hand clap for remembering, because that was a tough question. I knew I was asking a tough one. Mothers remember those things, but fathers are like, well, those are just my kids, and you know, I know what I have to do. But I want you to, you know, one of the things that I think about, particularly with fathers in this generation, one, who were your role models? And I'll start with you, Mr. Gardner. Who was your role model as far as helping you to understand what fatherhood was all about?
Well, of course, my father, number one, but my father actually passed away when I was 17 years old, right before I graduated high school. So my uncles and my brothers kind of took over that role. I mean, my uncles they've been role models for me ever since I've been really born, and took over after my father passed away. But that's really were the people who kind of guided me on how to be a man and how to be a father.
Wow. Mr. Williams?
I would say the same. My dad was my role model. I wanted to be like him. I wanted to do what he did, follow his footsteps. I love every time he was off from work, hanging out with him, going places. When I went to college, we used to hang out. We would go out, to the clubs together, my dad and I. And when he passed away, my uncle as well, he became that role model for me to want to watch. I emulated my brother growing up. So it was that those brothers and my father and my uncle who inspired me. I used to carry my brother's picture around in my notebook in elementary school and junior high because that's how much I admired him.
Wow. Mr. Hurt, how about you?
Oh man, mine's a little different. I grew up in foster care due to my parents struggling with drugs or whatnot. But it was a whole challenge, just trying to figure a lot of things out early on. And I've, of course, reached out to have relationships with both my parents, not only just my father, but of course, like how I heard the other statements, I've looked up to my father growing up. And I just was watching some of your questions earlier just about not having a father there, or even if it's not all the time, it was like those moments where you're going through life, is only person that could know what you're going through is another person or another man who went through the same thing. And I feel like you go to your mom for the sympathy when you hurt and you want to cry and those things. But when you live in the moments and you're like, okay, this is the decision I need help with right now, it's only another man that could help a man with that decision. And a lot of those moments were spent figuring out by myself. And I don't know, it's kind of bittersweet because that's what I feel like shaped me to be the person that I am today. Because I have so much of that inside of me that it won't allow me to see my children go through that. And that's what kind of spawned out to like community involvement, because I'm like, now I see that it's some other kid that was me when I was little.
Right.
If I could be that for somebody, I'm all for it.
Wow, I see why you became a Father of the Year. It's almost like I told a young man once who was about to have a child, his first, by his girlfriend, and I told him, I said, just be the father that you wished you always had, and that would be the way you could go forward. Lafayette, how about you? I mean, I know your father, my father-in-law, and I know that he was a great role model, but I'm just wondering who helped you pattern your.
I'm glad you asked me that question, because I'm sure like the other brothers who are on the call today, I've had different father figures doing different parts of my life. My mom and dad separated when I was in kindergarten. And so I had to find surrogate dads. And where I grew up in Philly, even though I was born in Washington, D.C., to be honest, most of my close friends, about 10 of us, males, we only had one family where the father was in the household. So we all gravitated to that particular buddy's house, and his dad's name was Roosevelt. And Roosevelt became our surrogate dad. And so when I wanted to learn how to box or hold my hands or talk to the young ladies or whatever we had to do, he was there for not only me, but all of us. So, of course, my dad, I love him. Your father, Dr. Cameron Roloff, is a role model for me. But growing up, and that's important in those, formative years, we really found surrogate dads to be our fathers.
So, we don't have a lot of time, and I really could have spent the whole show talking to you all, because I think you are representative of the fathers that we have in our community. We're going through a really critical time right now with regards to not only this COVID situation, but also with the killing of Black men by police officers. We know we've got Black on Black crime that's impacting our communities. And the role of fathers, I think, are really critical today. And talk to me about how you feel or what you wish could happen, I'm sure that those moments when you're saying, I just wish I could. And what are those things? Anybody can start with that response.
Well, I mean, if it was up to me, you know, I've got an 11-year-old grandson, and I'm always teaching him to, you know, do what you need, be a leader, not a follower. I used to drop him off at school, and I used to always say right before he got out of the car, you are a leader, not a follower. So that gets him in the frame of mind that when he's walking with his peers, I'm not just going to do something because you're telling me to do it. I'm going to do things that I want to do and do it my way. So that's one of the things I think that we as a society, our young kids fall for, because they want to be a part of a group, right, as opposed to being the leader of the group. And that can get you in a lot of trouble. I mean, I remember in sixth, seventh, eighth grade, our teacher used to always tell us, go to the baddest guy in the school and get him to understand what the teacher wants. Everybody else will fall in line, because he's the one that's going to be able to tell everybody, don't mess with this particular teacher. So that's what I would say, is just make sure that you are a leader and not a follower.
Anybody else want to chime in?
I've taught my son to do what he knows is right, and
correct,
have the integrity of knowing that if I'm not around, or if I were around, would you do that in front of me? Would you do or say those things in front of me? And so I've always taught him, because I'm the single father of the group, is that, you know, do what you're told to do when you're told to do it, one, and then two, always do what you know is right to do when you're supposed to do it. So if I'm not around, if another adult's not around, if I were to be looking around the corner, would you still do that? Would you still do that if I'm not around to supervise you, to watch you? And that way, you always know that you're in the right space, because I've always chastised him or caught him doing something he wasn't supposed to be doing, of course, and said, now, why would you do that? And the answer was always, I don't know. And I always say, well, if you don't know why you're going to do something, then don't do it. And that way you can save yourself a whole lot of heartache and heartbreak, and save your behind sometimes, because that way you don't have to get in trouble, and you won't get in trouble with law enforcement. And I come from a law enforcement family, so I have both sides of it. My father, my uncle, and myself were all in law enforcement. And then as a Black man, I've even been pulled over, you know, had guns pulled, you know, pointed at me and all those things. So I have both sides. So I try to teach him, especially now, what to do, what not to do, and understanding that he has certain rights, but don't get too far advanced in what your rights are to find yourself in a casket later where I'm going to have to grieve, your sister's going to grieve, and the rest of us are going to be sitting here fighting, you know, a system that wasn't made for us in the first place.
Yeah, my sons had that debate yesterday. It was an interesting conversation. Hakeem or Lafayette, did you want to?
Well, let me jump in real quick. And I certainly agree with what Kelly is saying. You know, we have law enforcement folks in our family as well. In fact, short story, in Durham, North Carolina, my father's brother was one of the first Black police officers to be sworn in Durham. This was back in the early 40s. So, but I wanted to just say three quick things for the fathers. And one is that the overarching issue is that the fathers are really the DNA of strong family values and children. And I think that we need to make sure that those three values are, what I would say, one is that fathers have to remain engaged with their family, regardless of what their circumstances are. We have to stay engaged. Secondly, we have to practice good health. I was talking to a neighbor this morning. He's 85 as of yesterday. And I said to him, what would he recommend? He said, Lafayette, if you don't have good health, you don't have anything. So we can practice all of the good traits that we want, but as fathers, we have to make sure that we're, you know, reducing stress and make sure we're eating right. What the fit fathers were talking about earlier in terms of exercising, so that good health is important. And then third, and what I'm learning more and more as I become a senior dad, is wealth creation. You know, we have to stop putting our families in a situation where our young people have to reinvent the wheel and start over every time. So that means investing in our families, making sure that we take care of our assets, it's land or property, and then finally establishing a will of trust, a trust to pass those assets on to our next generation, so that together those three you know, having engagement in your family, good health, and wealth creation, then we can have the kind of strong families and fathers that we need to save our community.
Hakeem, I'm going to let you close us out, or ask you to close us out, and I'm sure you're going to give us another reason why you became the Father of the Year.
I agree with all of what I just heard, and I just want to kind of touch on bits and pieces of it. Like, I was told the same thing as a kid from various adults, as far as being a leader, not a follower, and that kind of is something that stuck with me. But just I guess fast forwarding from my childhood to now, like my wife and I have an example. We were on a bus with our children. There was a bunch of kids in school, and they were loud and disrespectful. And we said the same thing Kelly said, is that I know you guys wouldn't be doing that if your parents were here. And some of them, sure enough, said that they would be. And then that just goes into where I was just thinking, like, I think it needs to be a change, or what I hope to be as an example as what a father and how family structure should be. Because I think being a younger person in this conversation, I think a lot of those older values are misplaced or got lost. The time got dropped somewhere. And but I think it's some of us that's out here in the midst of all of what's going on that still holds on to those values, and it's finding those people and trying to make that more of the popular thing. Because now it's all of the things we're talking in this conversation, just being honest, to a young person, it's not cool to be a father and be there and be loving and caring and have feelings for your family and respect your wife and all of these things. These are values that a lot of men don't respect, and a lot of young men don't respect today. And I think it's restoring those values within young men to see the future that we want to see. Because I know for the last 3 summers, we've been performing in communities all around DC. And my son, at 3 years old, started repeating my songs and knew the raps that I was rapping, and to the point he was trying to talk out his own. And when we would go in these communities, you could see that it was a shock. Everyone started saying, "Oh, you guys, the royal family." And our kids would be like, "Wow, why does everyone says this stuff to us?" And this only thing that I see is that we're just being a genuine family. You see both of us as parents together. You see that our kids run up to us and love us. And that's the missing link from the times that you guys grew up in, I think, where people were more solid into family structures and values. And that's just not to extend it any further, but just to tie into what goes on systematically. I think today is a version of where the goal was trying to get to. We're a broken community, and it's trying to repair that brokenness is what the painful part is. And that's just what I see from it in today's time. It's just all of these things are triggering that, okay, once you get to a point of pain, it's a point where you can't take no more pain.
Right.
You're either going to break, or you're going to be like, okay, now I'm ready to change.
Let's fix it.
It's like, now I'm ready to fix it. And I think everyone's inspired. People just need to know how.
Well, I want to thank you, fathers, for being with us today. I wish all of you all a happy Father's Day, and not just on Sunday, but every day. And our prayers go out to you. And, we've got to support each other. So, Hakeem, congratulations. And Kelly and Randy and Lafayette, have a wonderful, wonderful Father's Day. And thank you for joining us.
Father's Day to you guys. And it's been inspiring being on this conversation with you guys. Thank you for the opportunity.
Wonderful. All right. You all take care. Boy, I tell you, we need to hear more from our fathers. And that was great conversation. And anyway, let's move on, because, we're running over. We got one more thing we got to talk about today, because this is Black Music Month. And so I'm so glad that Sherry organized this program like it did, so that we can end up on a wonderful note. I am I'm always excited. I say it all the time, but I am so excited to have our closing guest with us today. and that is Tony Lewis, who is with Fame. Hey, there you are, Tony. How are you? I hope you're not as emotional as I am right now listening to these fathers. I need you to kind of jump in and take it over.
It's been wonderful. It's been wonderful to listen to them, and the fathers are so important. So important.
Yes. And hi, Langston. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful.
Great.
Happy to be here.
I'm good. So, this is Black Music Month. Hey, Julian, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Welcome. So, Tony, we want to talk about your foundation and what you've been doing and just keeping music alive and training young folks and events that you have been doing and are continuing to do. So tell us about Fame.
Well, we started Fame in 2004 in my basement as a nonprofit. And the goal at that point was just to provide scholarships for young folks who wanted to go to college. But we found, Denise, very soon thereafter, after talking to educators and parents, that the kids needed a little bit more supplement to help them with their academics.
Right.
So they could attend the schools of their choice and not just any school or just to drop out. So we did that, and that was 2004. And here we are today. And what we do, we provide opportunities, the best opportunities that we can for young musicians. That was my focus because we have so many talented musicians here in the Washington region. However, they need a little extra supplement in terms of the academics and how to go to college. How do you find the college of your choice? What do you need to attend those schools? So that's what we do. And when I say the best opportunity, that's the best opportunity that I could afford to give my child. And that's the standard by which we look at that. We do that by, we say Fame is a harmony of music and education, not just education, music and education. And we provide that with a four-pronged approach through music instruction, academic tutoring, which is extremely important, which we do through our partnership with the Innovative Study Techniques, which is based here in Prince George's County, and college prep and work readiness. And we have three major programs through which we do those things. We first started with the in-school support. We would work with the teachers in the schools where they, music is always the first thing that's cut back. Some politicians and some educators don't get it, that music is extremely important to students through all that they do. And other classes, like the math and the sciences. And we've proven that through what we're doing here at Fame. We do it through, we give the teachers instruments. We also provide, even in their classrooms, sometimes teachers don't have copiers to copy music. They don't have the other things that they need. And we send in professional musicians to help them. Then we started our signature summer program with the University of Maryland, which has been going since 2011. And there we do workshops in technology, vocal music. And we just started last year doing an intensive program for our Fame Jazz Band program.
Wow.
Yeah, which we started in 2015.
Right.
Yeah, and we had help from our wonderful friend, Nat Adderley Jr., who you all probably know is Luther Vandross's former music director, and he wrote a lot of his songs. And Nat would come down every week for 2 days to teach and tutor our children. And as a result, we have a very outstanding program. We started with 15 kids in that program. Now we have 31.
Wow, wonderful. So tell us about Julian and Langston, or maybe they can introduce themselves and tell us how they discovered Fame and what Fame has done. And I want our viewers to know, Fame stands for Foundation for the Advancement of Music Education. Is that correct?
Education, yes. I'll say one thing about them before they start. These young men are scholars as well as accomplished musicians. You may see them on stages behind some major artists, and sometimes you'll be seeing them as in their own right. They've been with Fame throughout high school, and they attended Prince George's County schools as well. They're serving as interns with Fame today as well. So we're very excited. We have Langston Hughes II. He'll tell you about himself, and Julian Wilson, and they'll tell you where they're going to school.
Wonderful. Langston, take it.
Yeah, so first of all, I'm happy to be here. So I've been in Fame for, I think between 5, 6, 7 years. It's been a while. I've been in Fame, it seems like forever now. It's such a powerful and prominent part of my life now. In fact, when I was watching the men earlier, and he was talking about, having an influence and being molded and things like that. I'm just so grateful that I had an organization like Fame to mold me, in such a sensitive time. Those beginning high school years and those middle school years is so important. I think that's a part of the reason why I'm so supportive of Fame, because I know that they can provide opportunities for everyone, everyone who's just like me, everyone who's looking for that organization to try to sprout them into a new being. I mean, it's easy to be molded by the community around us, by the depiction that, the media wants us to be. But Fame allowed for me to see who I really was. They allowed for me to see who I really should be, in an image that I didn't even know I had for myself. So I'm so, grateful for Fame and everything that they've done. So that's why I'm so happy to, be an intern to learn everything that goes on behind the scenes. Because it's a lot of work to try to create the picture that Fame has. And being an intern, you get to see everything that's going on.
But are you a musician, Langston?
Yeah, so I played.
Okay, talk about that.
So I played the saxophone. I was always interested in music, but like I said, being in Fame, it allowed for me to really go into that interest and be confident in what I wanted to do. So now I go to Howard University. I'm a sophomore, rising sophomore now, studying jazz. Original Black American music, studying jazz, and trying to create this name for myself.
Wonderful, Julian. Yep.
Can you hear me?
Okay. I can hear you. Yeah.
So, like I said, my name is Julian. I am a later addition to Fame. Actually, I joined Fame late 2018. I think is right when I came in. No, late 2017. I'm sorry. I joined as a part of the Jazz Ensemble, which is a smaller group of musicians. And it's funny because I think about how close I was to missing that opportunity, because the first rehearsal, I double booked myself. And so I was freaking out. I was like, oh my God, I missed the rehearsal. But Miss Tony, I emailed her, reached out to her. She said, just come on to the rehearsal, And before I knew it, I was traveling with, the Jazz Ensemble. I eventually moved into the jazz band, And it was such a perfect timing for me, I think. Because for me, I like to think that my musical journey has been, I've been put in different stages for different reasons. So I like to think that, me being at church was a place for me to grow my gift.
Right.
I went to Oxon Hill High School. I played for the Oxon Hill High School choir as well. So I think Oxon Hill High School choir was a place for me to really sharpen my skills. And then I credit Fame for just really being the tool to really just let me showcase and really just grow myself, not only as a musician, but, as a professional, and just in so many arenas that I don't think I would have been able to achieve otherwise.
So what's your instrument?
I do a couple things.
Okay.
I play piano primarily, but I am also a vocalist a little bit, and I'm a producer as well. I go to Berklee College of Music, and I actually credit Fame for me going there too, because I was able to travel with Fame to perform at the High School Jazz Festival at Berklee in January of 2019.
Wonderful.
And I think that me being able, the connections that they have to meet with professors and, to prep for my audition, I really think that, made such a difference, and just me being able to go forth into that next step in my life. So,
Tony, so how do young people get involved with Fame? Do they contact you? Is it through their schools? What happens?
They go, they can come to our website and just send us an email that they're interested. But for the Fame Jazz Band, it is staffed by auditions. Children audition every year. As a matter of fact, auditions will be coming up in August.
Okay.
And information will be on our website, which is famemusic.org. The schools, the teachers and the principals, they contact us directly, and also the school system. So, we're open. The phone call or just an email gets it going.
Yeah, I am so sorry because we've run so much overtime, and but before I go, I just what was your route into the music profession, and I want to know what led you into it, and then what your hopes are, or expectations are for Fame in the future.
You see us all smiling, right? People always ask me, they said, Tony, what instrument do you play? And I tell them, I play all the instruments, but it's here in my head. And the kids will tell you, I really can hear and see what's going on, understand when things are going right when they aren't. But music was a staple in my life when I was young. It was music that got me through school and through college. I played music when I studied. I played music when I was going through rough times. I found the music that really helped me. And one of the songs that really got me, that kept me going was Jerry Butler, Only the Strong Survive.
Oh, yes.
And I also tell my children about that. And it's a motivator, and we keep it going. Yeah.
So going forward, my last question to you, going forward, you know, what are your hopes and dreams, not only for these young people that you have with us, your interns, but for FAME as an organization, and how can people support?
We are looking for FAME to be a very large organization that can support 10 times the students that we are supporting right now, because they really do need it. So one of our goals right now is to have a major building that will provide studios and rehearsal spaces for children, no matter where they are in the region, to just come drop in. And I have professionals like these young interns that can support them. So that's my goal, and for it to continue to be strong. And I'm thankful for folks who are sponsoring and who are donating. I mean, you guys have been an extremely great sponsor for us over the years, along with the University of Maryland and the Prince George's County government. Without all of you, we would not have made it where we are today. And just recently, I just have to mention real quick that the Lewis Prize organization, which is a philanthropy group, just selected FAME as one of 32 nonprofits around the country. There were 626 that applied, and we were selected as one from this region. And I'm very blessed for that. And it's going to benefit a lot more children, especially during this COVID period, because a lot of kids don't have computers, and we're going to help them. They're at home, supposed to be being taught, but some of them don't have the computers necessary to talk to computers. We're going to meet that need.
All right. And people can reach you by your email?
Yes.
Your website?
They can email us at info@famemusic.org, and definitely the website, famemusic.org. And we're having our anniversary on July 25th.
Okay.
So take a look at our website. We'd love to have you come. It's virtual, by the way.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Well, we're going to help to promote that, of course.
Awesome.
So, yeah. So looking forward to hearing more from Julian. Keep up the good work. Congratulations. Same thing to you, Langston. You got a very, the second, but you've got a very prominent name. And so we will remember that. And Tony, thank you so much for being with us and keeping up the great work and supporting our young people.
Thank you, Denise.
All right.
Take care.
Thank you. Thank you. So this is it. Boy, we've had a long show, a lot involved. In closing, I just want to remind everybody, visit WashingtonInformer.com. We'd love for you to sign up to subscribe to our email. So you can go to the website now, sign up at WashingtonInformer.com, learn more about our programs. And don't forget to continue to watch us at WIN TV. And Chevy's giving me messages like this. I have no idea what that means. Oh, right. And then we're doing a weekly photo gallery of photos from things that are happening within the cities. So we want you to continue to see that. And last but not least, for all the fathers out there, have a wonderful, wonderful Father's Day, and have a safe and enjoyable day and a safe and enjoyable Juneteenth. This is Denise Rollard Barnes signing off. We'll see you this time, 12 o'clock noon next week.